watch,
Good.
to watch the program, and it's good for students.
It's very good for them.
And some of our faculties should learn from this. Bring the students on board. Put a screen for them when hot topics like that, this, is being prosecuted. Yeah. Bring the students on board. Now, so that's it. Yeah. Lawa Saidu,
Yes.
just discuss me a bit and then I will start.
Chief, what do you want to do? Well, good morning, everybody.
Yes.
Our topic today is on heat stress and its control in chicken farms in tropics. Heat stress is very important for us here, particularly around this time. In fact, the topic is apt uh, for this time because we are losing a lot of birds and we are losing a lot of money as a result of heat stress, particularly those of us up north. Northeast and far northwest, the temperature is very, very high. You go as high as 41, 42, up to 43 as you are leaving Zafara to Sokoto and Kebbi State. And also as you are leaving Bauchi to Yobe, Borno, the heat is terrible and the birds are not comfortable. And if the birds are not comfortable because the temperature is above the comfort zone, you have a lot of problems. If you go down the central zone, down to the south, you will be dealing with, because of the high humidity, the birds will also not be comfortable and you have crisis heat stress. The speaker is nobody but Chief, who has been the President Veterinary Council of Nigeria, who has been in the Veterinary Council and now is also in the Veterinary Council. And he has been in the field throughout the years. So there is no any other person better than him to discuss this topic. I welcome Dr. Ageti. He has been trying in his own little way. I have been following him and I have been appreciating what he is writing and the assistance to the farmers. So we are complete. Chief, if you are around, you can start.
Yeah, please,
Chief.
somebody should call Professor Ola Davis. Professor Ola Davis locally, and then, okay, maybe decline. And then, yeah. Okay. I don't know, she can't talk. Yeah,
So, Chief, you can
yes.
start. Yes.
Now, I am starting. Like you said, this is a very topical issue now. And we've been losing a lot of birds in the country. And most times, those birds are lost out of ignorance.
Yes.
I try to streamline my talk to be in tandem with the realities of the moment. I will not stray far. Let me have the second slide. That's the preamble. I will not stray far. I will go straight to the point, the mistakes people make. Yeah. Saidu says something. I don't know in the north and south which one that has more heat stress. The one in the south, the one in the north is hot heat stress, hot, dry heat stress. While in the south, you have humid, wet heat stress. Though the temperature of the north is far, but that of the south and humid stress, if you have a humid heat stress, is worse than dry heat stress. So, but the preamble, we have they have the table of content. You all see the table of content. I'll start with preamble, discuss some definitions, discuss sources of heat. No, go back. Go to the content, please. Go to slide 2. Discuss the sources and transmitters of heat. in chicken farms and discuss the ambient temperature and the response by the birds, the gradients, the strength variations in vulnerability and color variation in vulnerability, metabolic pathways, which I have had Wageti spoken several times on damaging effects of heat stress, especially in the liver, which is the metabolic controlling controlling organ in the body. Then you have the seventh, which is the heat-borne disease, the diseases you get out of heat stress, and then the control, which is more important to me than any other thing. I'll discuss more on the control, gloss through the other ones. The control is better because prevention is better than stress. Prevention is better than cure. Then get to the second strike, which is preamble. I'll be very brief. The sources I'll be very brief. Second, yeah. Then the heat stress is a great challenge in poultry industry. I think Lawa said a lot about it, and it kills chickens in thousands depending on the flock densities, various flock densities. The loss is costly, especially when birds are gotten to advanced age, advanced economic age. Losing birds at economic age. I think I don't know. Right now, the day-old baby chicks or day-old birds now, pullets and broilers, I think they are targeting 2,000 or thereabout. Even if you lose it at day old, anything that is economic now to deal with poultry production, your economic senses should be on your antenna. Serious attention is needed in controlling this nebulous economic scourge in poultry industry. So let's be guided by serious attention, please. Pay attention. I've done a lot of work. I've been in it. I was a farmer. I farmed at parent stock level. I farmed at commercial level. I can tell you stories. Yeah. Please, okay, move. So please, let's be guided. Then I don't want when we go in and then make some points and then people will be start asking, what are you making? Now I will define definitions and acronyms. Chickens are subject to heat stress when the air temperature and humidity uncontrollably increase their core body temperature, leading to various degrees of physiological response, like increase in water intake, drop in feed intake, panting, and death. The extreme of it is heat stroke. The extreme of heat stress is heat stroke. Then we have the free radicals. I think Wageti has talked a lot about free radicals while trying to distribute his products. And then the free radicals, they're highly reactive oxygen moiety, very, very reactive in the liver, damaging the liver and damaging the organ, creating a lot of confusion, a lot of stress into the liver, which is the metabolic anchor point in the body. Then very low density lipoproteins, VLDL. So when you see me say VLDL, I'm not talking rubbish. I'm talking very low density lipoproteins. These are fat mobilizers. And then in poultry, most fats are formed in the liver and transported out or outside. And if you have fatty liver or fat degenerative changes in hepatocytes or liver cells, you overwhelm these very low density lipoproteins, because it's just like you have a meal where you're milling 10 trucks or 5 trucks of maize, and you have 5 trucks. All of a sudden you mill 10. They'll truck out that 5, and that 10 will still remain. The same thing with VLDL. They truck out the fats from the liver. So if you overwhelm them, if fats are more formed, like is done during the heat stress, you start having fatty liver. All you do is that, like in that store where you store your milled maize, the fats will be stored in the liver. They will remain there. So they are using mobilizing fats out of the liver, but they have the unlimited number. We'll talk about what you can do to boost their number. And then lipid peroxidation is attack of free radicals, which I've mentioned, those active oxygen stress on carbon to carbon double bond. in polyunsaturated fats, leading to increased membrane permeability and loss of membrane-bound protein function and apoptosis. Apoptosis is dead out cells. Then ambient temperature, which is environmental air temperature, we are going to discuss today, and feed conversion rates from bed to bed, strengths of beds, we'll see that they have different conversion rates, and function of susceptibility or vulnerability to heat stress. So now let's deal with the sources and transmitters of the heat in chicken industry. The main source is the radiant infrared heat source from the sunlight. You know, the sunlight has various components, starting from radio to X-ray. Then along the line, if we have the infrared, before you have the visible, this infrared is one that in the microwave is one that transmits heat. Yeah. From outside. Then hot water from outside, overhead tanks. This one, I beg you, don't have overhead tanks that is outside, please. I will discuss with it later. And the mistake, even the rubber ones, the plastic ones, that will not take as much heat inside as the metal ones. It's very, very dangerous to put your water tanks outside to be heated up, for water to come inside for the birds to drink. It's a source of it's a source of heat. Drinking water pipes. You will look at some spring water. You go to the well spring, that's waterfall. When you go to the where they are falling, you see that the water is heated up where they are falling. What means that if you put your overhead tank inside, which is recommended, and which is higher above, and the water is on potential energy, as they are being forced into the pipe through kinetic energy, they are being converted into heat energy. This is natural. So the waterfalls I'm discussing about, like Ikogosi, the waterfalls, when the water is up, as it's coming down, it's changing energy to kinetic, and by the time it's on the ground, the kinetic will change to heat. So as the water is being piped, the energy conversion to heat. This one is not from the sun. Then air convention current. Air convention current, the air, we all learned in physics that air is a good convector. Heat can come out from outside with heat through air convention. And then metal conductors. If any heat that hits any metal conductor, it retains the heat and transmits the heat, especially wire cages. And then metal drinkers and feeders. Then another source is artificial heat from kerosene stoves, electric and gas heating. That's burning high wattage electric bulbs. These are sources of heat, and I discussed the transmitters. There are only 3 ways it can be transmitted: convection, conduction, and radiation. I've just discussed. Just move to the third. Now, we will have the response of birds to the temperature. That's what they call the critical low temperature, and they have the low critical and the upper critical. In between is the thermoneutral zone. That is, this zone, the birds can do anything to adapt themselves and nothing happen. They will do anything to them, including flapping their wings, including moving around. Oh, that one, they can. Birds are good in that. Naturally, from their original habitats, they can adapt by then these are their normal behaviors and help them to adapt to temperature at any rate between the lower critical temperature and the upper critical temperature. So beyond the upper, beyond the upper critical temperature is that's the beyond the thermoneutral zone. You see them, that is just beyond heat. And then the normal temperature is supposed to be between 23 and 25 degrees centigrade. Beyond that, when you start heading to 30 degrees, you see them slow panting. You see, what they are doing, the panting they are doing because they don't have sweat glands. They don't use sweat to dissipate their heat outside like mammals, like us. What they do is panting, what we call hyperventilation. And then their panting process, what they do in panting process is to lose water through water of vaporization. And you know that heats are removed from the body on anywhere to vaporize. So as they are vaporizing water, we'll come to that when we are talking about the physiological and biochemical process. So as they are vaporizing water from the body, the temperature is dropping. That is another, now you have moved, you have subjected them to start panting. And at the point of panting, they don't eat. They can't eat. What they can do if you have cool water is, which will bring them behind the thermoneutral zone at this point, is to give them very cold water. If you give them cold water, like us, human beings, if you are sweating profusely and you drink very cold water or very cold drink, you can see your sweat to go. That means the burning sensation of temperature, high temperature inside your body is being brought down. Now, when you move beyond the slow panting, you have the fast physical tiredness panting. You know, panting is a physical process. You go into tiredness, and then you start having maximum heat loss from water vaporization. And then from there, you go beyond where the temperature cannot, you can see the red zone. It cannot control again because it is being overwhelmed. All the physiological forces for the birds to control the temperature, she has gassed out of it. And when it's gassed out of it, what the problem now is death. I have seen a death of 80% from heat stress. And I'll discuss that one if possible, if I have time. The mistake their farm did to have that. And more especially those birds in the upper layer close to the roof. There has to be a distance between the upper tier of the cage and the roof of the house, or the heat, the radiant heat will heat. And then unfortunately, if you are using zinc, which will take the heat and just throw it down immediately, and then move to the nest. You can see the increase in here. Now, strengths and now we have discussed this. Let's go to vulnerability. Vulnerability of strengths is a function of the physiological weight stroke indices as well as the feed conversion efficiency of the strain involved. That means you expect broilers to be more vulnerable than layers because of their growth rate. Then layers at the peak of production as well as older laying chickens are more vulnerable than those outside the bracket, more vulnerable. Then these are experiences I have in my farm. So like I said, I've handled farm in upstream, I've handled farm in downstream, which is the commercial layer. The upstream is the parent stock. Now, another thing we're dealing with now is the color. The black color. I don't recommend black breed of birds, especially in the north. Layers, I don't. Whether layers or broilers, you know, you both can do anything. They can get, after all, they've gotten brown broilers. They might get black broilers. But Nigeria will have white. Then while brown heavy birds laying brown eggs are more vulnerable than white heavy layers laying brown eggs. You know, we have white layers, heavy layers laying brown eggs. So the least vulnerability which I have had, and see those heavy layers lay up from 1.7 kg and above. But the white laying strengths we're getting will bear me witness. That is those who laying white eggs, not laying the brown eggs. So those laying the white eggs lay from 1.1 kg, 1.2. They are very light. So their susceptibility to heat stress is the least. Then move down. Move down again. The other, yes. Now, after dealing with all this, let's go to the metabolic pathways and damaging effects of the body. Well, the first we're going to deal is the blood picture vis-a-vis the pH where we have metabolic alkalosis. And what we have discussed about panting. So during the panting, there is a drop in hydrogen ion, which is being used to form water. I think I have it at the base. Now, if you are mopping up the hydrogen ion, which in some advanced chemistry or posology is called the proton, because why they are called proton is that hydrogen ion do not have neutron. Sorry, hydrogen atom has only one electron, one proton, no neutron. So if the electron is released to form hydrogen ion radical, what is left is proton, one proton. And that's why hydrogen ions are called proton. So let us mark this. So when I talk about proton, you know that I'm talking about hydrogen ion. And then the hydrogen ion is a function of pH. pH is minus logarithm of hydrogen ion concentration. So the lower the pH, the higher the acidity. Now you are mopping up what is giving acidity to use it to form water so that the water will vaporize. And then you are depleting yourself of carbon bicarbonate, which buffers the blood the pH, buffers it and maintains it, makes it constant. And you are removing the bicarbonate. And if you remove the bicarbonate, which is to form carbon dioxide for it to be exhaled, yeah, that means you are increasing the pH. And if you are increasing the pH, one, by removing the buffer solution, dropping the buffer solution. Two, dropping the hydrogen ion concentration, which makes the acidity. That means you are moving the blood picture or pH to alkaline level. You know, in chemistry and biochemistry, most times it's the same thing, but they don't share the same terminology. It's supposed to be metabolic alkalinity if it is in ordinary chemistry, but in biochemistry, it's called metabolic alkalosis. And once the alkalosis is moving towards extreme alkaline level, the shell formation, the calcium metabolism is reduced. And once the calcium metabolism is reduced, poor shell formation. So you start having shells, having all manner of rugged, all manner of subshells, all manner of subshells, and all manner of shelllets during the heat stress. I'm talking about metabolic pathway now. So cardinal among is hyperventilation, which I'm just trying to describe now, to exhale heat through water vaporization and consequently carbon dioxide. Water and carbon dioxide are released from carbonic acid, thereby dropping the proton level of bloodstream to metabolic alkalosis. The bicarbonate that buffers the pH under metabolic alkalosis, calcium metabolism is very poor and reflects in poor egg formation. You can see what I have here. This is carbonic acid releasing the proton hydrogen ion, the bicarbonate, and then from the bicarbonate, water is released, and then bicarbonate, water, and hydrogen would react with the proton to form water vapor, and then carbon dioxide as gas. Move down. Move down. Now, this is the liver. I've discussed the blood picture. Now I am discussing the liver picture. The first thing, one of the things that happen is I've described lipid peroxidation at the definition stage. I've described free radicals, which I call the reactive oxygen stressors. Then I've discussed fatty degeneration of the liver, have high liver content. And then most times the liver is so fragile, mottled liver, as you're pressing in necropsy, you're pressing your hand is deepening. That's then what we call fatty hemorrhagic syndrome, apoptosis of the liver cells, compromised liver, and then we all know that the basic, some of the elements in the yolk are formed in the what do you call it? In the egg yolk are formed in the liver. And then any liver that is compromised, we know what is compromised. Low immunity. Let's move. And now that's why I was able to describe some of these things before we just come down here. Now, we will talk about antioxidant, actually, how we can mop up these free radicals. Now, when we were having the parents talk, one thing I found out is that we were getting some fertility good until we enter his stress. So by the time we enter his stress, he said we found out that the cogs were not performing well. The sperm level in the cock semen is poor, so poor during the heat stress. They are not even mounting well. So the fertility, we lost a lot. The fertility of the cocks came down drastically. Drastically. And we found out that our production that was 80 went down to 40%. I'm just talking. And then in a brown pullet operation, it's a sex link linking the female with the male. That's the female offspring with the male, and the male offspring with the male offspring. The color of the male offspring is the color of the female. Why the color of the male offspring is the color of the female, is the female dam, that's the hen that laid their egg, the eggs that produce them, and then the other way around. So that brown color you are getting, the brown color you're getting from the male, from the female as brown layers, is from their cock, is the color of their cock. So we had white. I don't know when we come to that. We have white. That means the hen were white, and then in deep litter operation at the parent stock level, the mortality we had but they laid brown eggs actually. But the mortality we had was not as terrible as when we caged the brown layers in there. So we can see that different operation. That's when I talk about decongesting, then you know what I mean. Then one thing I found out in my farm is that in between the rainy season and the harmattan season is a very hot period. That's one thing I found out. Very, very hot period. And we start having colibacillosis at that period. And then our production dropped. So when we checked, it was colibacillosis. We were able to, well, then after treatment, it went back. So I tend to believe that one of the heat-borne diseases of chicken is colibacillosis. And then Gomboro, this is another area. I mean, I just mentioned this in passing. Gomboro is a younger age, though I've started seeing some in an advanced age. The vulnerability of Gomboro most times are during the heat period. And then during overheating of the because Gomboro comes between 3 weeks to 8 weeks, 10 weeks. So at that level, some section of it is brooding stage. If you stretch your temperature, you're going brooding temperature beyond normal, and then from the environmental ambient temperature, you are going to have the Gomboro and then Gomboro is immunosuppressed, can lead to immunosuppressed diseases. That's when you immunosuppressed your host, the birds. You start having coccidiosis and marex. Then another problem we're having in compromised liver, where you have this fat degeneration of the fatty degeneration of the liver, is mycotoxicosis, because the mycotoxin, the liver handles mycotoxins badly. So when you are compromised, those mycotoxins, those will take a dangerous effect. Move down. Now, the heat stress control, so temperature control. One thing I advise farmers is to have hydrometer, thermometer. It's very useful. For it to tell you the temperature. And each pen supposed to have a hydrometer and a thermometer, so that for you to be able to, and then at the center of the pen, you just hang it somewhere else. Then it will tell you the humidity level and the temperature level. The hydrometer gives you the humidity, relative humidity actually, while the thermometer gives you the temperature. Now, in terms of control, there are some extrinsic forces that is supposed to be used to knock down the ambient temperature. So the aim of heat control, is to knock down the aim is to knock down the temperature or the ambient temperature. That's everything you're doing is to knock down the temperature in those pen or whatever. Then the intrinsic forces that is the forces you create inside the beds to have a cooling effect. Mavis. Okay. The intrinsic forces is to create cooling effect in the body, as well as reverse the adverse metabolic pathways. The next one, please. The next one. The next slide. So these are two ways. How do you deal with it from external, and how do you deal with it in internal? Well, the building specifications must conform. That's extrinsic forces. They must conform to east-west direction, which is normal. Because if not, if you put it not in the morning, the sun will be shining on them. In the evening, from the east, in the evening, they'll be shining on them in the west. If you put it on north-south. But if you put it on east-west direction, as well as cross ventilation, then both in broiler and layer operations, I recommend for layers maximum of 2 to 3 tier. Let it not go beyond. Because the higher you project these beds up, the more they're getting in contact with radiant heat, depending on the magnitude of environmental heat stress. The height of the building should be high enough to accommodate the vulnerable top tier against radiant heat. I have just mentioned it. Okay, another problem we're having in this country is the width of the house. And you see, why I don't want to put some figures is that areas in this country differ from one place to the other. So it's vets who are really in poultry production and engineers will be able to put the building specs for you, depending on what you want. The height of the building should be high enough to accommodate the vulnerable top. I have mentioned that. So most fan nut battery cage layer operation should now have more than 2 lines of operation. 2 lines of the width, just a minute. We must not have more than 2 lines of cages. I'm telling you, not even 3. And that means you're putting your width, because if you put four lines, the more you go at the center, there's going to be a problem, a serious problem of heat accumulation. So make sure that your cross ventilation is good, so that both sides, both at the north and both at the south, the wind or whatever, there's cross ventilation. But if you widen the house, you're going to have problems at the middle. And I bet you, if you have those areas that have high intensity, if you're going to deal with it to have only 2 lines, or at worst 3 lines, depending on the numbers of the lines. Move down, the next one.
I think Dr. Charles is having a network challenge. Yes.
Yeah, I can see that.
Yes, we are having problem.
Okay.
Charles, are you with us?
So
I
Charles,
think it's log out. As log out.
okay. In that case, before he comes, Wageti, can you say something on what he has presented so far?
I think he's
Hello,
back.
are you back?
He's back.
So, okay.
I can see him. He's trying to come.
Okay.
He's trying to come in. Let's give a few minutes.
Okay.
Your audio, we can't hear you. Your audio.
I had some glitches, sorry.
Very well. We can hear you now. Welcome back.
Yeah, heat stress control, temperature control continues. Yeah. Then use of stagnant air mobilizers like industrial fans can be useful here to cool the environment by creating artificial cross ventilation. You know, at times during this heat, you don't have wind, you don't have air movement. Everything is stagnant. So it behoves on you, on the farmer, to deploy mechanisms and strategies through which air movement will be increased to have a cooling effect. Like us that grew up in those days when you don't have air condition, we use fan. And when we use fan to mobilize the air, we can see that our temperature, environmental temperature is brought down. Water fogging and mist operation, yeah, this is another. But if you are using water and mist operation, it's advised where the humidity is low, not where the humidity is high, because it can create a problem after. Then the rooftop should reflect heat rather than diffuse heat into the pen. Some good roofing materials can be painted white. I say good roofing materials, or have good reflectors like plain aluminum roofing sheets. Zinc or asbestos roofing sheets are not recommended by me. Why? Zinc will take the heat and drop it immediately. Asbestos will take the heat and retain it in the night. In the night, it's not only through the roof you are having heat inside the house. You have heat from convection from the outside. So the heat from a convection from outside will be dealing with them in the day. Then in the night, the radiant heat will start dropping. I even believe that asbestos is worse than zinc. Now, placing straw. Some people have placed straw like Zana on the rooftop. That one worked. It worked with me. This should be annual procedure to avoid infesting organisms. That's some organisms they might harbor. Then reflect some. I think Agritech came with I don't know why the country didn't buy it. Reflective aluminum foil sealing materials. Yeah, that we're taking the heat back. But you see, the problem we're having is that this heat taking back will come in, but not as it was coming. Maybe through the convention current, because you're throwing it back into the environment. Yeah. Wet water ponds. That's some people have tried using wet water ponds. Maybe in between pen, the distance between pen where there's land is high, to have might accommodate fish pond, because the idea is that as the heat is coming from outside, those water ponds are stoking the heat, so it's not being directed to the house, to the pens. Empty cartons, I've used empty cartons to form ceiling materials with good success. Actually, I've used it and had good success using empty cartons to form the ceiling. After the roofing material, the ceiling material, seal it off, seal heat off from coming down with empty carton. But the only problem is if you have a leaky roof during the rainy season, those cartons will give way. Yeah. Some area will give way. So for those extreme heat environments, you have, this is another thing I advised. In fact, if it is too much, take off all your birds from the cage and move them to the decongesting pen. Take them off. Take them off and move them to the decongesting pen. Because in deep litter, the heat stress is so low. The birds they move around, they can fly, they can flap their wing. But if it's not extreme, you can put 2 per cell, not 4 per cell. At best, operation should be, or at best, cage operation should be, which I've said, should be suspended during the extreme heat period. And if you have a good environment, you can even clean environment, you can even bring them out during the evening, maybe in free range. During the evening, and if you have a good lawn, during the evening, you can bring them in. If you have a clean environment, a well-disinfected environment, not if your environment has biosecurity issues, you are bringing them out. No, it can work. You need to put them in decongesting pen for deep litter. Move again. Now, oh no, sorry. I said, okay. Now, cool drinking water operations and regular flushing of the pipe. I've said it that the heat builds up because as the heat, the pipes, especially metal pipes, if those are having pipe and nipple drinkers, if you are passing water down and are generating heat, they can disperse that heat out as they're flowing. But if the environmental temperature is high, the heat cannot diffuse from where it is having low intensity to where it's high intensity, like inside the pipe where the intensity is high to where the intensity is where intensity is high to where intensity is high outside the pipe. So that's why during the hot period, if you open the pipe, you see that there is hot water. So what you would do in that is, to me, solar operations are okay to get ice blocks and ice blocks, ice crackers, ice water, because once they drink this water, their body temperature will come down. You know, they don't, like I said, they don't perspire, they don't do sweat. Now, feed operations, yeah, because you see, one thing is that they're off feed during the heat period. So what happens is, what people do is 4 a.m., you open up the light, open up the feed, them to start feeding by 4 to 10 a.m. Then cold water from 10 a.m., you start giving them, they'll be drinking water, but then from 11, when the heat is so high, in Kaduna, from 11, 12, the heat has started building up. They'll start drinking cold water till, let's say, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, when night will fall, and the sun will be shaded away. Now, some have tried artificial rain to mild sources. I've seen where they tried artificial rain, thereby spraying water on the roof sprayers. Well, it worked, but it's so tiresome, it's so troublesome, it's so stressful, and they really stopped. But that one was in the digital analog age. But now that you have some solar operations that will not take your diesel or whatever to start pumping salt water. So broilers are too delicate to heat stress for obvious reasons, which we know. I've talked about with when I was discussing the high rate of feed conversion rate. If possible, start broiler operation a month to the end of hot season. So it will even help to reduce your cost of brooding. And then layer operations in most cases should start 5 months to the end of hot season so that it can peak during the rainy season and then start laying and lay well for you. But the only thing is that you have to struggle to maintain the target weight during the heat period. Because at each week, we're getting bear me witness, there's supposed to be a target weight. If the target weight is below, it will not lay when it comes to laying. So you have to struggle and maintain the target weight during the hot period. I tried it with my breeder operations. It was so difficult, so tough to maintain the target weight. But we were able to get it after 1 or 2 trials to get the target weight. Now, intrinsic forces Nutritional trace element to rehabilitate the liver. Antioxidants like essential oils, vitamin C and E, a selenium and zinc complex, used to do inclusions in ration formulation. Increasing the sulfur amino acid to assist the antioxidants. And what antioxidants do is to mop up the free radicals. And then osmolytes that will maintain the osmotic tension of the cells. Betaine, this is a new product coming into the market. We want to badge into this product, maybe in the next 1 or 2 years to come. Then sodium bicarbonate, which we have talked about, bicarbonate, to buffer the blood. And then choline is a component of very low density lipoprotein, which we said is a transporter that mobilizes fat from the liver to the other parts of the body. Continue. Continue. We have done the extrinsic, we have done the intrinsic. Your guess is as good as my guess. So it's only to build all these topics and merge them together in order to tackle tropical heat stress. Thanks for watching. Always remember to subscribe to our YouTube channels to further the algorithms. I'm done. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
Nice presentation.
Why are you thanking a trader?
Thank you. Thank you. It's a very nice presentation. But Professor Usman.
Yes, sir.
Please give Wageti 2 to 5 minutes to say something.
Yeah.
Well,
okay. Good morning, sir.
Yeah.
Good morning.
For 2 to 5 minutes before we open the floor for contributions.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Continue.
Can I go ahead, sir?
Go ahead, Professor Usman, hold on.
Okay.
Okay. My senior colleague on this platform, this webinar created by our able trusted person, Dr. Sorry, I just woke up from sleep. Dr. MD of Bluebird. Well, this is a nice topic, and honestly, these are areas that we veterinarians have to look at it critically, because year in, year out, farmers are losing birds due to heat stress. I know what happened in the Southwest. I've been very busy. I know a farm lost over 200 birds to heat stress in February this year. They lose the broiler to heat stress. So this is a vital topic, and I just saw almost 15 of us. At least this topic is something that we need to look at it critically. On my own, I've been in the business for 31 years, and we have a farm, and every day we are talking to farmers about heat stress, and next week I will be in 4 states in the north based on appointment how to handle this heat stress. And just like my boss have said, here in the Southwest, we have humidity and heat. In the north, we don't have humidity, but we have heat. But some area like Karachi, Abuja, part of Kaduna, Zaria, there is humidity. So here in the Southwest, we try to tell farmers that to put their mind more on the humidity than even the heat. And what we have come to find out is that, based on our research here in the Southwest, and for the students that are listening, we found out that there is a rule of thumb to control heat stress in poultry in the Southwest or any area that is high humidity. And the rule of thumb is that the combination of temperature and humidity index shall not exceed 106.7. Once that figure exceeds that value, the birds will exceed or show sign of heat stress. That if the for example, if the temperature in that pen is 26.7 degrees centigrade and the humidity is 80%, it means that if you add 26.7 plus 80, it will give you about 106, and with that the temperature, the heat, the heat will start manifest in the birds. So it is not only the temperature that is a problem, but also the humidity, relative humidity is very key when we are looking at control of this heat stress in poultry. And we all know that during normal condition, the birds relieve heat 80% by air around them, 20% by respiration. But when there is heat stress, that thing change. So the bird now release heat 20% by air around them and 80% by respiration. And if the humidity is very high, it prevents the respiration, and that's why you see the birds will die. So here in the southwest, you find out that most of the time, early in the morning, there's mortality. In the afternoon, no mortality. In the evening, no mortality. As you wake up in the morning, you see mortality. So for the vet, anywhere you find yourself and you discover that pattern, know at the back of your mind is that it is humidity that's even killing the bird, not even the heat stress. But farmer will say it's heat stress, it's heat, it's heat. That's what they'll tell you. And I have discovered that on our farm. I have spent more than 3 months sleeping in the pen during heat stress. And I found out that most of those birds die from 3 a.m. to 4 a.m. I do that for more than 5 years on our farm. And the reason is that here in this, I don't know of North, but here in the southwest, humidity starts from midnight. Maybe it's 60, by 1 o'clock it goes 70. By 3, 4 o'clock it goes to 90. The moment humidity goes to 90, that means there is no movement of air because of the too much of water saturation in the pen. So the bird will not be able to breathe and they will die a lot of shock. So that's why for the students, if you go out, if the bird die in the morning during heat stress, it is not heat stress, it's the humidity that killed them. And the only way to solve that one is to put fan. That's the only way to control heat stress. So I want the students to understand that one. And as a student, for those that are our students, when you go to a farm and you want to know that there is sign of heat stress, first the birds will move away from themselves. If they are in deep litter, you see them moving to the cooler surface. And after that one, if the farmer not do anything, you start them lifting the wing. They start lifting the wing. So the moment you go to a farmer student, you see that the birds lifting wing, either on deep litter or cage, or the birds are young, know that heat stress is coming in because they want to lift the wing away from the body to reduce insulation. And if you don't do anything, after that one, the next thing that will happen in the birds will divert blood from the internal organ, like the intestine, the spleen, to the skin, so that the blood will flow to the skin, cool themselves back, come to the visceral organ again. And that's why if you go to farm and there's bird die, just tear the skin, you see it's darkened. So there's vasoconstruction and vasodilation happening during heat stress. So that way the bird will not be able to eat too much because most of the blood have come back to the skin and come back hot. So after, if it didn't do like that, then the birds will die, whether in the southwest or in the north. So I want
Dr. Wagetu, we are going to stop you here.
Exactly. We are getting another lecture.
Oh, sorry. Okay, thank you. No problem.
We are grateful. We are stopping you, Professor Usman. Take over so that I'll rest.
Oh, I don't know. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, members. We are all welcome. Sorry, I had program with the student this morning, and we just finished, and I discharged the students. We're actually on ambulatory.
Okay.
Yes. So I don't know, but I met the last part of the Dr. Ibe presentation, and I scrolled down and I saw some of the very important things he has mentioned. And with the addition or comments made by the last speaker is also very, very good. And I think he threw more insight from what Dr. Ibe gave us. We thank you also, the last speaker, for expatiating on this issue. Actually, heat stress is a very serious issue, sir, especially to us here in the far north. And it's one of the limiting factors for poultry production. Contrary to what the last speaker said, in the south, they have combination of humidity and temperature. Here in the north, we call it dry heat. Most of the time is what we are having the issue with. There are many methods now. Like I always tell my students, addressing heat stress in the farm is like eradicating rodents, rats. You devise many methods. So you cannot say you overcome completely the problem, but you reduce the problem. The same thing when you are having rats or rodents in the farm. You can't employ a method to finish them. You have to use various methods. Today you put the medication inside the water, tomorrow in the watermelon, tomorrow in the feed, continuously. So the heat stress, you use gas, you use the touch roof. The Abel was telling me Zana, we use touch roof is the name of English, sir. Not Zana is the house. So, so it's a very good thing. So I think, sir, if you permit, let's people that those ones that have comment or questions, they will come forward.
No, let me react. Let me react to what Wageti said. Yeah, there are different between humidity and relative humidity. Yeah. Humidity can be high, but relative humidity can be low. Exactly, so what is battling is not humidity. What is battling is relative humidity. The environment is, I am coming. The environment is humid already, but the temperature is dropping. You know, the higher the temperature, the higher the humidity, even within the same water content in the environment, the lower is coming down. But in the night, the temperature is dropping. So those humidity, I mean, because it's a simple physical mathematics, conversion of water into vapor and into gas. Yeah. So during the night, the temperature is dropping, the relative humidity, which is there already, being converted to water, and then the environment is converted to water in either in mist or in fog or in whatever, and then the temperature that is affecting the birds. Not that those water came from nowhere in the night. It's like temperature drop. So that's why most times we deal with relative humidity.
That's what I'm saying, yeah. The same thing, yeah.
Then another thing I am saying is that, you see, what app you use Google.
We can't hear you again. Let the professor.
Yes, sir. The thing, I'm seeing Professor Paul Lawal Said instead of the presenter.
Are you sure?
Yes, it's you I'm seeing, sir.
There is one professor.
Ochendo, we are not seeing you, we are not hearing you.
And the Professor, can you go ahead? Professor Osman Musa, can we go? We are listening to you, sir. Can you go ahead with the presentation?
Oh, okay. Yes, sir. So, like I was saying, in the north here, heat stress is a major problem for all the farmers. And the various methods we are using, apart from the trees plantation around the houses, using the thatch roof, so I even putting ceilings. But another thing we always forget is the way the houses were built. I mean the height of the houses, the width of the houses. Mostly we don't care of the width of the house. You see that the house, instead of 12 feet or whatever, we draw a longer, or we make it like a square box. The poultry house like a square box, which most of the time the air inside cannot circulate. And you find that, especially those who are using battery cages, those cages in the middle, you find that they suffer more because the air cannot go out of the house. It cannot blow out of the house. Then we have the issue of the height also. You find that some roofing are so high close to the battery cages. So when the heat, especially those who are using zinc houses, when the heat or the sun hit the zinc, the roofing, you know, the heat is always transferred to the base directly. And we find that farmer experience many. So most of the times, unfortunately, our architectures, I mean, they don't consider livestock housing. They are more concentrated on the building offices, skyscrapers, houses for the big people or politicians. But in actual sense, livestock housing or structures are different from the human habitations, human offices, human houses, and other things. So you'll see that actually a beautiful house was built, but there's no enough ventilation in the house, that one. Or the window level to ground level is so high, you'll think that the 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 school children are going to have a classroom there. So all those things are problems. And unfortunately, most of those things before those infrastructures were put in place, there's no consultant around. They don't consult veterinarian or livestock specialists to tell them how to build those houses. It's just that the builder or the person that will tell them, I have been building for over 20 years, it's no problem. You'll go and build it anyhow. Most of the time, I think here in the north, I have to demolish many houses. I mean the window level to bring it to one cost level or two cost level as the situation may be. Because by the time I came, we find that the chickens are dying massively on daily basis. While at the same time, they are pumping drugs. Okay, I think now I can see the chief now. Chief, I mean, allowed you now to continue. We can see you here.
No problem. I think Professor
Before then,
Professor Aminu should let Professor Aminu so that I can respond.
Yes.
Professor Aminu.
Okay, good morning, Prof. And sorry for joining you late. I was just going to wedding ceremony when I saw this invitation. But nevertheless, I think Professor Usman has already said everything about it. But the weather of Sokoto, I think, is quite unique for any weather. The other person was talking about the humidity in the south. But really here, what we have is all dry weather. But
Yes.
thank God, we are now using the Zana that the speaker said on top, and some are even putting it inside, and we now have Fogas. But the issue with the Fogas is that you have to use this power, and the electricity maybe is now 1 or 2 hours. So what you have to have is you must have a standby generator that will probably have to cool the situation. But those Fogas are more efficient and highly, highly, highly important, because last year in a day there was a time that I lost 70 in a particular house. But this year, when we are now doing the fogging and we have planted some flowers around the vicinity, the mortality is highly reduced. And surprisingly, this year the weather is becoming another Hamatan during the hot season, because yesterday and today we're having a healthy environment. So I think farmers should endeavor. Just now, as I sat down, my manager of the farm brought some eggs that they were too soft. I told him that is a heat stress. So I was just talking about this issue. I opened my phone and I saw that you are still on air. So I decided to join. So it's a very good program. Please keep it up. Professor Usman has said everything that I need to say. But I really say thank you to the organizers. Very good.
Yeah,
And
Professor Aminu,
Yes, sir.
Aminu, let
Yes,
me
sir.
react to you. There are other sources of energy. Solar is coming up now. People should key into solar. But are you here when I mentioned about using hydrometer?
Well, no. I just joined late. Lately, I joined.
Okay, don't worry. I'm going to send to Usman the video on you so that we can watch it again. Because I said, number one, if you're going to have a farm, you mentioned a lot of things. Usman mentioned a lot of things.
Yeah.
The architects are not superhumans. You are going to give the direction of what they're going to do. And they put it.
Sorry, sir. You see, sir, I don't even allow any architecture to design my building. All my poultry houses are designed by myself, because I know what I need and I design it myself. So I told them I'm also an engineer. But the other person, you see, the problem is that people are not ready to engage consultants. Usman knows it, that you will use your fuel, you will use your energy to go and consult for somebody, and you will just say thank you. And he will expect you to ask Usman if they are doing ambulatory. They will take students.
Your reward is in heaven. Your reward is in heaven.
No, the reward is here, not in heaven.
Can I say something?
Yes, say something before I respond. But let me respond a bit, please. I mentioned here, if you listen to the video again, Professor Aminu, I spoke about hydrometer.
Yeah.
What we normally, with my hydrometer, I can tell you there's going to be rain this night. There's no rocket science. Because anytime my hydrometer reads 80% relative humidity, rain is on the corner. Rain is at the corner. The whole place is charged with water. And that period don't fog. Yeah, don't fog at that period. But I want you, because what we normally get in Kaduna, I don't know about Sokoto, once it's about to rain, that's when start having humid heat.
Exactly.
It's not that there's no humid heat in the north. There is humid heat at the transition period between the dry period and the rainy period. But what I have said, sir, in this is that cage operation is very dangerous during
honestly.
And you must have a decongesting pen.
Yeah.
I said, go and watch. I did it. See, most of the things I said are things I operated by myself based on one or two things I saw in my farm. And being a professional, I'll be able to interpret fast.
Yeah.
And this Google climate forecast is very, very important. Once you place where you are staying, it will tell you what will happen. And it is 95% correct. There was a time my people went and put my dog feed outside to dry. Some water poured. I told them, send them in this night. They say, okay, has not been read. I said, send them. If anything happens to them, when they brought it in and it rained that night, they thought I'm a magician. But I didn't tell them how
sorry, sir. You may have to excuse me a little bit. I have an appointment just now, but I would like to say Sokoto climate is a quite different climate than any other climate in the country. Because in Sokoto, the rain, yes, sir, the rain starts maybe by June, July. So where we are having problem is from March, April, May, up to first week of June. So in Sokoto, humidity is never a problem, unless you are in maybe August, September. But for now, what we need to do, as you are saying, please you can share the video to us so that we see, we can monitor our climate, maybe how much temperature is going to be. Because I use my phone to predict the next tomorrow's weather, so that we know whether to fog or not to fog. But the issue of Sokoto, maybe you have to have a time and see how we are going to address this issue of Sokoto climate. Sokoto is different from Kaduna, different even from Kano. But we are suffering, honestly speaking. And I will use this opportunity to please excuse myself. I have another appointment that I will leave. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Honorable, Honorable Professor.
Yes, sir.
Commissioner for Agriculture in Sokoto State. Thank you.
Thank
you very much. I'll send
share
the video.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof.
Thank you, Prof. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So,
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I think the chief has done justice to the topic. We also appreciate the contributions of Wageti, Professor Aminu. But you know, to control heat stress is very expensive, particularly if you have this environmentally controlled houses. It's very expensive. And then with Chief, I think this is a topic that we may have to discuss again.
Next year we're going to discuss it. The environmental one, the environmental one, as far as I'm concerned, is not cost effective.
Sure.
That's tunnel, what we call tunnel ventilation. It's not cost. It's not cost effective. If you are not making up to 90% production, you are losing.
Even the energy market is not the. It's not.
That's what I'm talking about. The money you're using for energy, and then tunnel ventilation. Solar cannot be able to power it unless you have alternative sources of power like wind. And then there are some alternative sources of power by burning wood and then converting them using the steam to power the electricity. Yes. If you're able to get that one, fine. But it's very difficult.
Anything that is not sustainable project.
It's not sustainable. You can only sustain. No, you can only sustain parent stock level, where you can just one egg will hatch, you get 2,000 naira. That one, that's commercial layers.
No.
Commercial layers and broilers.
I
have my feelings. And I mentioned something here. Broilers, you can keep broilers die a lot, even on deep litter. I've seen that one in my farm where I consulted. Where I was copper.
I think unless the chief has.
Can I come in? Okay, sorry.
Come in.
Okay, thank you, sir. Okay, thank you, sir. Just like my boss, Chasibe said, umbrella, the heat stress is severe. And it's very simple because one, they are fatty in nature and they grow very fast. So we have seen that heat stress umbrella, one can relate it to a car because the energy, the fuel you are putting inside your car, the car can only use 35% of the energy to move. The remaining 75% is burning in form of exhaust. That way, exhaust hot, the is hot. The same thing, brother, because they are growing too fast, the energy of the feed restress, the body will use it. The rest 70% or 65%, they burn it as a form of heat. And I want us to see this my method I've adopted. They use in the north, even Adamawa State, Taraba, and it's working, but it's subject to validation. We have professors here. I adopted based on all other things we are talking about, vitamin, electrolytes, like Chasibe have said, but I've adopted what you call feed withdrawal in hot noon hours, just like in the layers, like I mentioned. And what I've done is that the feed withdrawal, it depends on the climate of the given day and the age of the bird. So I recommend that from the 12 to the 14, there should be 2 hours withdrawing period. Because umbrella, it is after when they are 3 weeks old that they start producing heat. And if they don't get right rate of that heat, they will have problems with stress. And that's even the time you will be having CRD umbrella. So that way I developed a template that from the, don't wait that 23 days, from the 12 to the 14, 2 hours withdrawal period. From 1 p.m. to 3 p.m., no feed. Then from the 13 to the 14, 3 hours. So you'll be going like that till you slaughter. And it's helping a lot of farmers. But any time of the day, the weather is okay, you can suspend the withdrawal period. But and when you are doing withdrawal period also, I tell farmers to take out, to raise the feeders up so that the birds will not be fighting when they're looking for feed. And it's helping withdrawal period. It's the same thing like layers. What do I even tell people, even in the north, everywhere, is that feed withdrawal period is very key. And for layers, let them start feeding the birds 4 a.m. You can put, there's even some people say they don't have generator. I say, go and buy a rechargeable bulb. They can even put it at the pen. By 4 o'clock, they just on it and start feeding. So you start feeding from 4 a.m. By 9 o'clock a.m., no feed in the feeder. Till 4 a.m., till 4 p.m., you give feed. And that will also reduce the impact of internal heat production inside the bird. But it's another major concern that the challenge about, but he didn't explain because there's no time. That is internal heat production by the bird. So there should be no feed in.
Thank you, Dr. Wageti. Chief, you are Chief.
Yes, I'm back. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm with you, Prof.
We have been on for almost 1.5 hours.
Yes,
I
sir.
think this webinar is has come to an end.
Very.
Unless you have announcement.
Okay.
It has been a very good one, highly educative, and it will be very useful to the farmers. So we are grateful to Bluebird TV for this seminar, and all the participants. We are grateful. We
Yeah,
thank
the only
you. We thank you for your time, Chief. If you have announcement, Chief. Chief, do you have any announcement for us? Usman, Professor Usman.
I think you can go ahead, sir. You can summarize it, like, it's not online.
Okay, do you have an announcement? Hello, I get you.
Sir?
Hello. Do you have anything for us?
Those who are.
Oh, I don't have anything for us. The only thing that let's thank the organizer of this program. May God bless him, and we need more of this type of program. Thank you all.
Okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
NVMA, are you with me? Yeah, well,
yes, sir.
NVMA, are you with me? Any announcement? Any announcement? Otherwise,
no announcement, sir.
No announcement.
Yes, sir.
So,
yes,
so
sir.
the program has come to an end. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chief,
Thank you, sir.
Chief, what are you saying?
No, I'm also thanking the audience and the presenter for enlightening us today. And we really appreciate, I say it's a very, very good topic, especially for Nigerian farmers, especially those who are in the north and even in the south.
Yes.
So it's a very good topic, and I believe, and we'll try to share it as much as possible to different platforms for the benefit of the farmers, and I encourage them to be joining the programs such as like this. Today being Saturday, most of Saturday, especially in the morning, people are having various programs, wedding ceremony, and other things. I'm sure that's why the turnout may not be very high, but we'll post it as much different platform as possible. Thank you very much, sir. Yeah.
The chief, thank you, Professor, for always sharing this with us. Chief,